Well, we should all have smiles on our faces this morning. The CPI came right in where I thought it would. I'm on a streak, guys. This is not going to last. I've, I don't think I've ever had such a good streak in a long, long while. Anyway, the market, they seem to know that the CPI was going to come in better than expected. And I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists that thinks that the big boys get information before the rest of us, but man, why was the market up so strongly the last 2 days? And then we get this really big beat. That's one of the few times I've really wondered. Anyway, but the market is up, and I guess we'll just have to be happy with that. Tesla is now turned loose, and I'll give you my impression of where we go from here. This is Randy Kirk. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and join Tesla on my Patreon. And that's all I got. Oh, thank you so much. Lots of Patreon membership increases over the last couple of days. I will definitely put up something unique and special on Patreon today. All right, let's go for it. The consumer price index gained 0.2% last month. That's at a 2.4% rate year over year. That is really close to 2% in my opinion. And that was after edging up 1.1% in May. The Labor Department said on Wednesday, the CPI was lifted by rises in gasoline prices as well as rents, which offset a decrease in the price of used motor vehicles. So price of gas went up a little bit. You know, the reality is where we are right now compared to last year. So last year from June to July, the CPI jumped a ton. This year, it jumped a little. So the difference gives us that big year over year beat. And it also gave us a great month over month. So the CPI right now, year over year, 3%, smallest year over year increase since March 2021, and followed a 4% rise year over year last month. So you can't actually ask for it to be any better than that, unless maybe a peace agreement in the Ukraine. But since that isn't probably happening anytime soon, we'll have to take peace at the Fed. The Fed should pause now. Nobody thinks they will, but they should. There is way too much risk related to another increase, even a 25 basis points increase. Shark Tank guru Kevin O'Leary was out saying this morning, he says he's in the real world. He says he's out there trying to get loans for small companies. Good companies with 5 to 500 employees can't get loans at acceptable rates. This is a huge problem. He considers it to be a major problem going forward. I consider it to be a major problem going forward. Drying up the money supply is the worst thing that you can do to an economy, in my opinion. I've written a book on recessions. I can tell you, out of the 9 recessions that I've looked at over the last 50, 75 years, the worst ones have been where the cash dries up. That's the one that kills businesses fastest. Okay. Anyway, I'm just calling for the Fed to simply pause again. Let the next 45 days go by. They don't have another interest rate decision until September, early September. So let that 45 days go by, get some more data, then make the next decision. Bond interest rates are down this morning sharply. This tells me that the bond market believes that not only that is inflation under control, but they also believe that over the next 6 months, interest rates will be coming down. So I'm sorry, this is a time when the Fed needs to listen to Randy. I'm just one little tiny voice in the wilderness, but maybe you guys are another voice somewhere else. Maybe you could voice the same thing. We need lots and lots of voices telling the Fed, we've got 2 weeks until this decision is made. There's lots of opportunity for them to be thinking this through. It is time to pause again. Well, since there's always, every silver lining has a cloud. Interest rates are down, and that makes interest rates lower in the US than many other jurisdictions. And of course, that means the dollar is dropping. Well, when the dollar drops, you have this opposite effect on internationally traded commodities like oil. So oil has been going up, not just because of supply problems in the United States, not supply problems, that's a stretch. Not only because supplies are inventories are down a bit in the US, but oil and that Russia and Saudi Arabia have both been cutting the amount of production that they're doing into the system to try to raise prices. Those are all affecting this price increase. but also because the dollar is down, and that makes oil higher in a dollar denominated sense. Well, okay, that's all true, but oil is still trading in the middle of its recent range. Okay, we're still between that 67 and 82, 81, somewhere in there, sitting at around 75, 76. But we're way up from where we were a month ago. That is going to ripple through the economy. This is what I keep talking about, and might be what the Fed is thinking. We've had a massive up and down roller coaster over the last 3 years because of all these supply issues. I know I've said this over and over again, but there's a lot of folks this morning that are listening to me for the first time. And maybe some of the rest of you are still not quite understanding my point here. My point is, what we've seen in terms of inflation over the last 3 years has had nothing to do with normal economics. Okay. If you take the Fed out and you take the US government out and all these other governments around the world, you take them out of the equation in terms of this massive money pump that went on during the pandemic, and you take out the pandemic and the closures of businesses and the closures of countries and the way that people couldn't spend money, even though they had money piling into their checking accounts and piling into the business accounts and piling into equities. This is not normal. And coming out of the pandemic, there was this country or that country or this industry or that industry that didn't have enough of this or had too much of that. It was this roller coaster of supply demand in terms of both money and product and services. And when you've got that situation going on, you have something that is not normal. So I understand that the Fed has been trying to figure out what to do with all of this data that's coming in and all of these issues related to how that roller coaster was taking place. But the roller coaster is over. Businesses and countries are all open now. It's starting to normalize. So we now I'm calling on the Fed to please just say, okay, it's starting to normalize. So let's not risk breaking anything. It's okay. Let's risk that inflation starts up a little bit, and then, we have to come back and we have to raise rates. Then raise them in January if inflation comes back. And I do say, I'm going to say it, you're not going to hear it from anybody else. I have not heard a single article on this anywhere. Please let me know in the comments below if you're seeing anybody else talking about this. Now we do have to be a little concerned about normal inflation. The economy is strong. I don't call it overheated, but it's strong. And so we do have to be a little nervous about normal inflation due to a strong dollar, due to just too few goods being chased by too many dollars, which is normal inflation. And you do have to get a little worried about inflation, a feeling among businesses and individuals that inflation is now a thing that's going to be normal above 2%. You don't want that to happen. And that's what the Fed doesn't want to happen. I don't think we're anywhere close to that based on all the polling I'm looking at, but there is this possibility, and it might be what the Fed is worried about. But anyway, they haven't said it. That has not been in their reporting. They have not said, oh, now that we're back to normal, we could have normal inflation. No, they have not said that. But anyway, I'm weird. And, you just have to get used to the fact that I'm going to have a few weird ideas that nobody else is talking about. All right, Tesla is one of the strongest companies in the world right now because they have a perfect balance sheet and it's throwing off huge amounts of free cash flow, and they're spending tons of money on R&D and new capacity, and they're building their future in terms of capacity, R&D. This is all about future. Most companies don't do this. If you followed Apple for years, Apple would always say, look, we're spending every dollar we can. We're buying a little company or a big company. We're buying these other companies. We're putting all this money into R&D. We're adding capacity. We're doing all these things. And there's just nothing left for us to put the money into. Tesla's in the same boat, except as I talked to you the other day about their ability to spend money wisely, it's like almost no company in history. Apple, again, is about 60% better than them right now in terms of return on invested capital. And Apple's probably the best in the world in terms of what you can see, what you can actually get off their balance sheet and off their P&L in terms of the way they spend invested capital. But Tesla is right behind them. And Tesla's supposedly a car company. They're making tons of metal. No company is at the 30 level, 29 right now, the 29 to 30 level that's in the kind of business that Tesla's in. And they're doing what Apple used to do. They are spending every dollar they can. Everywhere they see an opportunity, they are putting the money into even refining, okay, and contemplating mining. Anyway, if you didn't see my mining versus refining video yesterday, I'll put a card right here with Larry Goldberg. It was an outstanding interview with Larry. And if you didn't see it, my goodness, we had a fairly light interest yesterday. I don't know why. All right. New techs are coming at Tesla. They are so far ahead in technology. Their rate of earning patents is huge. They're getting patents every day. Their absolute lead in so many technologies is in so many sectors. Apple's in one major sector. Tesla is in energy. They're now opening new facilities for being a utility in the United Kingdom. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So anyway, Citi increased their price target this morning on Tesla. They went to 278 from 215. They said it was basically based on the fact that they shipped more cars or delivered more cars in the second quarter. It's taken them a long time to come up with this price increase. But they also said they were continuing to put a hold on the stock. It's so hard to understand what people are thinking with regard to these price targets and with regard to not putting a buy on Tesla. It's mind-boggling to me. Okay, last piece of news for the day is that Elon Musk spoke with South Korea, and rumors are now flying that South Korea is the next giga. I did not have time this morning to look into this in detail, so I'm going to start doing that. So tonight I do my midweek hot takes video, probably out around 4 or 5 o'clock Pacific time. So at that point, I will try to dig into this rumor about South Korea and that being the next location for a gigafactory. I would be totally good with that decision. I understand they've got some labor union issues in South Korea, but other than that, they've got the tech, they've got the excited working class. It is a fantastic country for car technology. It's a great fit. I do like the idea of India too, but South Korea would be a fantastic decision in my humble opinion. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are here as we go into the last minute here of the market. The last minute before I have to get off and see where we are here. We have the NASDAQ up 176 and rising. We have the Dow up to almost 300. We have Tesla sitting at 409 and going up. We've got bonds sitting at 3.8, the 10-year sitting at 3.899 and dropping like a stone. So that's where we are as we close today. I hope you like this particular edition this morning, because guess what? It was such good news, right? And if you like to hit like, if you would like to be notified about my program tonight, where we'll dig into that South Korea rumor, hit notify, which in order to hit notify, you do need to hit subscribe first. And then, of course, I'd love to have you part of Patreon, where I'm starting to put up very unique and special material, and I'll be adding a new one today later today. All right, so that's it. I'm going to go run in right now and put this up as quick as possible. And it's been, as usual, great talking to you.